Check, check. Check, check. Check, check. Okay. What's up, guys? What's up? What's up? Check. Okay. Good morning and welcome back. I'm not gonna lie. I'm only now logging in. Did not wake up feeling too well here. So what time is it? We got 10 minutes. Okay, that's way more than enough time. Okay, let me take a look at the watch list. Woke up this morning feeling a little under the weather. RADX. How do we do? $14 stock. Big move at 7 a.m. Nice. So the pre-market traders had some action here. 7 to 714. Really big move. Although since then it's been sideways. It is close enough to the VWAP to where it could make a move into the open here over time. So I'll keep an eye. KYTX next down on the list. I'll put on the watch list here for a quick sec. KY. We just got to remember to take it off. KYTX. As usual, we're using Day Trade Dash here for charts and the watch list, the gap scanner, high of day scanner. KYTX looks decent, looks good, and in fact seems to be holding up really well here. This looks pretty interesting. Pre-market highs around 1468. I think this one might be my main stock here. KYTX. RADX, I'll watch on the other screen. So there's two that looks decent. QIPT. For those of you who don't know, this one looks like it's a buyout. I'm all the way technical. I don't care about news, none of that stuff. So it does make it very easy. Like even though I'm like showing up a little late today, I can come in, look at the chart, and it tells me what I need to see, what I need to know. You know, IMG. This one is way below the VWAP. It looks like it gave a good move earlier though at 8:30. And then kind of sold. So pre-market, I mean, it was only a couple of candlesticks going up, but pre-market had some stuff at least. GLSI all the way down on the list. And I forget when the screen is on dual screen, I gotta like swing the chart more to the right hand side. That I sometimes forget. This one, you know, I think the top two are looking good, and so as we're going down on the list, I'll stop right there. So RADX, and then KYPX. Time about 7 minutes to go. KYTX. KYTX. Honestly, it could be worth trading right now. Let me go back to single screen here. It could be worth trading right now. It looks decent. It looks good enough here. Everything's checking out for what I can see. Alert. Don't forget if you're tuning in on YouTube to hit the thumbs up. It's another beautiful day. It's Monday morning. We get a chance here to come in once again and continue to improve on our trading. KYT, did I put the wrong name? KYTX. Jeez Louise. Thanks for that. Yeah, we got another chance to come in, be better, improve, and continue to work on our game here as traders. So it's going to be another beautiful day as my alarm is going off here. That's alarm for my screen recording, which I actually didn't do, so that's a good reminder there. Let me just go ahead and open up another OBS over here. Yes, KYTX. I'll post it again on the YouTube stream. Start recording. All right, that looks good. Time, 6 minutes. Don't forget, guys, as you're tuning in, be sure to hit the thumbs up. And if you're a new viewer, also consider subscribing. So KYTX, let me just double check the daily chart here. Jeez Louise, man, the typos. Daily chart looks okay. Of course, right now there's a bit of a topping wick because we're a little off the highs. Yeah, I mean we'll see what it's able to do here. We're seeing a pullback right now, which is fine. As long as we're able to bottom out and hold, I think we can retest this level up here at 13. And then we'll see how it does from there. But definitely a good size pullback here into the open. 5 minutes. Lows right now are 92. I'm actually going to take a starter on it. Small size. My 24/7 year-round cold is just, I don't know what I don't know. I got to try something new, something different. I got to go to like a specialist. And that reminds me, right? Like I'm paying all this money for insurance. I need to use it. I think into the new year I'll have to like do a different plan because the plan that I'm using, I think they're like just canceling it for some reason. So I'll have to like get a new one. Here in the States, there's like the bigger ones are of course like United Health Group, which I have a bunch of shares, so I might go with that one next. But there's United Health Group, Aetna, and like a couple others. Aetna is the one I have right now. I've had it for a long time too, but it looks like the time is here. So I got like 300 shares with an average of 12 here, 1208, and I'm kind of just watching to see if this one does curl up here into the open. If not, looking to have tighter stops. 1250. Can we see 1250, 1260 once the volume does get in here? There's 28. 2-minute warning. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up as you're tuning in on YouTube. Can we get over 170 likes here? If not, it's gonna have to be my birthday again for the 9th time this year. Whenever I say it's my birthday, get like 1,000 likes. That's the secret. That is the secret. I want to be careful of a flash sell-off here too, because that could happen. I mean, the size I'm holding is relatively small, but still, you always want to be careful. We got 30 seconds to the open. Let's trade to the best of our abilities. Let's be disciplined. Let's also let the discipline compound. The things we've been working on last week, the week before, let's continue to implement those good things into our trading today. There's a seller at 25. I canceled my order. It still filled me, but that's fine. Let's see how it does. Strange. I canceled it twice. That's odd. That is so strange. Okay, I'm back out. It's not a quick break of 1250, but we're kind of here, and it's not selling off yet, which is good. If it keeps holding up, the better. I threw out another order, no fill, canceling. I probably should have bought back a little higher there, but that's all right. Tried for 1180. ARTV, is there something there? Lows are 408. We got up to 450 relatively quick. Highs are 69. I'm throwing out some starters on it. Am I not getting filled? Oh, okay, there we go. We are. Small size. I really want to see the 5-minute chart. ARTV. Let's pull it up here. How many shares did I fill? Oh, it looks like I didn't fill anything. Cancel, cancel. $75. This one could end up being pretty good. We got a high 75. Let's see how it continues. I gotta get. I'm trying to be a little bit patient here for another nice pullback, but you know. Candlestick is about to close. There's 40. There's a bit of a spread to it though. Something to be careful of. I'm watching it here just to see what it wants to do. You know, will we end up having a tight pullback? Uh-oh. Quite the jump there. Anyhow, we're filled decently. KB, does this thing has any juice to hold up its pullback and continue? That's the key for a stock like this. Can we see through 50, 55, 60, retested the highs? Watching to see what it does here. Can we see 55, 60? A bit of a false breakout there on the one. I hope I didn't paper hands it there, but kind of back out. Got over 50 and right back to 40 again. Just watching. These are the stocks that we need to hold up. Like, you know, we started off the first 3-4 minutes really good. But, you know, we're like in the pullback, and hopefully we don't sell off down to $4. If we can hold up, then it stands a good chance. Bit of a higher fill there, but taking the break of 50 to see what it does. And it's a tough one. Right back down again. It's trying, but it definitely has like that range to it, right? We had 65 there, back to 40, which again, for a break of 50, not quite what we want to see. It feels like it's so, the volume feel like the way the price action anyhow feels so slow compared to just a couple of minutes ago. Don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, to hit the thumbs up. Do we see over 80 here? So initially I had shares at like 35. I definitely sold too soon on that false break at 50, right? It's pushing high of day here. We got a new high by a couple cents, 83. Again, very slow to react here at the highs. We're not seeing anything very quickly. We're still here at 80. Is this it? Is this where we go to 5? My level 2 is like lagging a little bit here. What's the matter? Missed the trade there. Oh, there's a new 5-minute candlestick. Hmm. It's still holding though. But we did have an attempt at 5. What was that, like 98 high? Hopefully we get to like 550 on this stock. Like if we can get to 556, I can definitely see myself doing something. But we need it to hold up a little longer and not, give out here. But want to be careful on the pullbacks. So far, so good. It's a slower move, but it's holding up. It's at 100,000 shares plus. I might have missed that bid there. Again, the key is over 5 here. Can we hold up and see over 5? It's kind of... Okay, that's much more reasonable. Let's see what it does here. It should happen. I think it should. Come on. Show us something. Well, we hold the massive order here. Watching, waiting. Definitely slowly moving. Still watching, waiting. $89. It's coming down. 84, 83. $78,000 shares remaining out of 110,000. Order looks like it's canceled or filled. Damn, why is my average so high on that dip? Might have gotten a tough fill in there. I do like it still. It just comes down to if we hold up this level. I think the pullback is fine. Spare. Bro. What was that? 59? 58? I guess. Okay. I'll see how it does in this consolidation. Hopefully we can hold up this consolidation. If we do, then there's a chance it can retest over time. Don't do it like this, please. If this is how it happens, that's just so lame. Son of a gun, bro. Oh my god. That's how we get the red to green, bro. Like that is tough. Yeah, I should have held that position there, but I kind of got filled a little higher than I thought I was getting in. Bro, that's the lamest red to green I've seen. Especially being the context is that we had such a big buyer. Oh, that is tough. Well, I had 1,600 shares at 60 and sold for a 4-cent loss. Bro. Highs 89, so it's kind of a double top. Will we hold up the previous lows here? See, when I'm saying don't do it like this, like in that moment, it's like I'd have to chase it to be in, which is like high 60s, and it's a tough trade to take. Because if it's just a quick pop to retest the lows, then I'm in at like 69, 70 for the stock to come back down to 50. And it's like a pretty terrible trade. But, sometimes we'll see some follow through in a quicker red to green there. which is what just happened. When everything is slower, stocks are taking its time. That dip there that came, it's why I'm not really like so fidgety to be back in, is because it takes an eternity, right? Like there's no way I'm thinking over the course of 40 seconds we can retest the highs. So we're still seeing some glimpse here and there over the last few weeks of stocks giving quicker moves, even on a slower moving stock. Watching for the higher low relative to our last pullback. Cutting that trade there. 62 is pretty low. The key is us holding up again. Okay, looks like it might be done. Is there another one? Oh, it's the other one, AMCI. Let me check quickly here. All right, AMCI. Okay, there's 3 minutes 36 seconds to the resumption. Not ending green on that one there again, just just kind of silly. As in that red to green, kind of silly. We want to see a good opportunity, a better opportunity to be in. What kind of happened to me there too is that I was holding 160 shares, I think, at 77. So when I did add, I think that's kind of why my average was a little higher. Thinking back about it, in hindsight, of course, 60 was still decent. I don't know. This stock doesn't look that good. The daily chart, I mean, here it looks good, right? But if we zoom out, it's like it's not ideal. There doesn't mean that there can't be a move, but it. Time 2 minutes. It's showing a higher resumption, which is good. AMCI. A minute 23 seconds. I think it's worth a try, but the daily chart is not super strong, so it's hard to tell how far it could go. Like, will we see 597? You know, kind of hard to tell. $5.10. Potential resumption a little higher. AMCI resumption. 36 seconds. As usual, no fear, no hesitation. I'll be watching for the dip and rip. Can we resume a little higher? Make a small move, pull back. I'll be watching the pullback, and then can we see the retest to the highs and or a new high? So here we go, 10 seconds on stock AMCI. 480. Can we see a sweet dip? Oh my gosh, not the fills I want. I'll be back out flat. That drop was nearly impossible to get. Watching, see if we get another dip. We had 516, but I mean, by the time I tried, it's like already at 50. So only $60 gain there. Damn. Anyone got it? MCO in the chat room saying got the biggest trade ever there. Nicely done. Yeah, I you know, by the time I tried to get the dip, I mean, it was just so quick. Yeah. So it's halted up again. There's a lot of risk on this stock though. We just on before that dip came, we went from 550 to 515 in like half a second, right before it's back up. So there's a lot of downside risk if you're to get caught in the wrong areas here. These resumption trades a little elusive these days. In this situation here, it's ideal, you know, when you catch that first trade, like right now, you know, if I'm able to be in low 20, 30, it's very easy to hold the stock. And before you know it, you're selling up at 6, 610, 615, 620, maybe even holding some shares here, in which case you're in the driver's seat. You're in the driver's seat all the way, you know? That way you can now kind of go on a cruise control and kind of just manage as you go. Now we're another dollar a share higher, which means there's going to be even more risk in terms of range. So I'm thinking smaller size. I tried with 1,500 shares just now. I think slightly smaller size will make sense here in the next 2 minutes. Only 60 bucks. So far, kind of a flat day. On the other stock, KYTX, no, ARTV rather. That red to green, man, that was the place to capture a nice move, but it beat our expectations really, curling up within 40 seconds to a minute of the drop. You know, we're like right back up in the next candlestick. And so we didn't really get a chance to get back in. Nice move though, from 60 all the way to I think high 80s, mid 80s, and then it was red to green or green to red, right back down. Got a minute 3 seconds. So far a bit of a flat day. AMCI. I'll have smaller size this time. Let's make sure we're on the right platform. The right stock is selected. We got 33 seconds. $20. Here we go. 5 seconds. Well, that turned out to be a good dip. Damn, I nailed that trade, but of course now my size is, amateur size. Damn. It's holding, which is good. It might try again over the whole dollar. Man, what is this nonsense happening right now? Not bad at all. I'm impressed. Highs are at 98. I had a little bit of doubt, but that was good. And it did try, it did make it. There was a clear entry there at 550. Pretty good. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad at all. Yeah, I kind of let that hesitation get me there 550, but there was a clear entry there. Ay, ay, ay. It's this different. The difference between like the stock we just went to, we were just trading versus this one is like night and day difference. This stock is like more of a hyperscalper stock, and you kind of have to like flip that switch. So from a stock taking 3 to 5 minutes to give a move to now 3 to 5 seconds, we can see a move. I gotta flip this switch. I mean, it's been so strong that it just seems like it's worth the risk. Of course, um, we don't know how far it'll go, but so far it's been pretty good. 560 to 698 in the chat here from Eagle. Nicely done. Nicely done. There's another 2 minutes, 25 seconds. Man, the reward is on the other side of the trade. The risk is on the other side of the trade. The reward and the risk. The risk and the reward. A delicate dance. Fear. Fear. You can't allow fear to be, you know, your desire for success has to be greater than your fear of failing. That's what gives you the courage in the moment to just send it. Your desire for success has to be greater than your fear of failing. With that being said, I'm gonna send it 1,500 shares, and of course, I'll have to I'll have to accept the risk. I have to accept the risk. That's fine. We'll look to take the best setup here for the dip and rip again, and hopefully we can see a nice setup where we can nail the trade. There's about 46 seconds. Something I'm thinking about doing to my hotkeys is pasting those like stickers over them. Sometimes I'm like forgetting some hotkeys, but everything looks good here. We got 28 seconds. Watching for the dip and rip again, and looking to take 1,500 shares, which for me here is going to be a good amount of size. So accepting the risk and looking to take the best setup. Nothing more, nothing less. 5 seconds. Here we go. Can we see that sweet dip? Doesn't look like we're going to see it. More of a sideways resumption and higher push. Watching to see if other entries come over time. We're seeing a pullback. We've sized down again. Feel like I gotta chase the entries a little higher. It's twice there we recognize the bottom, but kind of like waiting a little too much to get a retest. Like right there, we're taking that 50 entry and just holding here. And we'll take the 40-cent trade. Only 300 shares, but very good trade nevertheless. Will we see over 7? Oh, not good. Oh, back to flat without loss there. A little more size. Plus 300 to flat. So the 1-minute candle to make the new high, not quite there at 80s. Definitely got to be careful in case there's not another leg. This could already be backside. I'm not touching this dip here. Not unless it reclaims. Yeah. Scratch trade there at 50. This could be backside already, so I'll wait. If the move is done, the last thing I want to do is being aggressive here. Trying it again. Back in with small size. Taking the 20 cents and looking to get back in with more size this time. Getting caught in the spreads. That's a bit of a false breakout there, though. Yeah, that it might be finished. We're retesting again, 50. Good reclaim. I'm catching some nice trades with smaller size and then kind of sizing up and taking a loss a little higher. Not ideal. In at 50, out at 75 right there again. Back in at 7 for the extra push. Taking a loss of 10 cents with more size. Yeah, I'll definitely need more of an in-between hotkey. I got 300 shares and then a jump to 1,500. So they'll have like a pretty big disparity with a loss, even though it's like way less cents there. And it looks like it's struggling. Anything below 50 here, not good. So back off. Back on the sidelines. Is the third try to charm. The biggest risk is gonna be the drop off when it's like done, like a flush out. It could teleport down here to like 5 something. It's the 5th time the charm here. It looks like it is. Okay, not good. All right. You know what? I'm pretty impressed by this stock. In some of those key areas, we could have done a better job being a little bit more aggressive. We kind of saw some really good areas where we didn't really jump in all the way, which kind of put us at a bit of a deficit there, which wasn't good. That last breakout, I think, a little bit more tough in terms of like, are we gonna go right? Maybe the 1 minute candle to make the new height 80, probably the best chance, but we've been up there 4 other times. It's a little bit more tough to tell if we're gonna get the push. So, but again, chasing on the other side of the move is not a bad idea. There, 720 did end up going up to seven. What was the high there? 784. So, got to definitely be a little bit more aggressive in those areas like that. Once we do get the move to 90, the pullback is kind of, it's already a little late. So a bit of a green to red day here. Got to be way more fierce in those key areas. So sidelines here as we're a bit of a max loss in our Webull account. This is a kind of stock though that if you're locked in all the way, you can be up a nice 10K on, without a doubt. It does seem like it can break the highs because we're still lingering here despite the sell off already. It might be able to do it because we pulled back all the way and still curled up again, which is typically a sign for a sell off, right? So, being that it's back up, it might be able to give a new high again. In the meantime, I think I'm going to also work on adding a in between hotkey here. That way I can have something in between 300 and 1500 size, something like 700 shares. It definitely seems like it wants to try again. Oh, all right. That hotkey's been changed, which is good. So today is today. Today is a day where like technical wise, like technical analysis wise, we kind of had everything we needed to have a really good day. But following through and being more fierce as a trader was the issue. We kind of let way too many entries go that we saw just out of like hesitation and like the risk of the trade when the entry was just kind of there in our face. So let's say we had like four of those good entries, you kind of have to be taking them, right? Obviously, you can always still take a loss, but part of the key is taking those trades, and things will kind of balance themselves out, right? When you do eventually take a loss, three good trades already connected to the point where like the loss you take is kind of just absorbed into the P&L. But hesitating too much and then kind of going for it a little later in the move is it's a little bit more of a risk because the opportunities are going to be less, more than likely, because the first and second move is usually the best move. So if you're trying to this is kind of like the third big green candle here, the third leg, let's say, you know, you kind of get a loss here. Is there anything else coming? Probably not, right? Or even if there is, there's just less likelihood that the stock continues just because of how things work. Unless it's a day where the stock does go to 15, 16, then right now it's still early in the move. But for what we know, this again could already be backside. It's not guaranteed that it's backside, but the stock had went from 3 to 7 already. Still seeing a few opportunities though. That bear flag push right there, not bad. But does it have what it takes to retest the highs? So the new 5 minute candlestick is gonna at least open up with a bottoming wick here. The 5 minute candle to make the new high though is all the way at 70. Is all the way at 62, 762. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Short sellers getting squeezed. Can we see over 20? Taking a dip at 70s, selling up at 8. Couple of small trades. Was the high 830, 38? Can we continue to hold up here? Big levels. There's some selling pressure, all right. Throwing out an order for 68 area, tight stop. There is some selling, but can we sustain? Taking 88. Couple of small trades to put us back to flat. A 1 minute candle to make the new high. We'll be back over the whole dollar. It's not. Okay, there it is. I'm about to say it's not instant. I kind of missed the push there, taking 810. Ah, big loss. Not good. $200 loss there from flat. I know this thing doesn't update. I gotta fix this thing so it like updates all the time. False breakout over 8 there. Check. Yeah, what is up with me every time I'm taking some size? We're not giving the follow through. Filled 77, not the best fill right there. Kind of high fill, but okay. Cutting that trade. This is not ideal. We're kind of having a big pullback after the breakout. We had to push to 838, but you know, we're now seeing new lows in that consolidation. So lows are 28 right there. Will we close with a bottoming wick? It definitely looks a little dicey here. It looks a little dicey. We got 2 minutes to the new candlestick on the higher time frame, and we're breaking down after that breakout. The 1 minute candle to make the new high. There's a new 5 minute candlestick coming, and it's back in a decent place here. Oh, what? I need to see these fills, bro. This is kind of crazy. On Webull, I don't look at my fills. I kind of just, you know, watching the price action, and generally you should get filled kind of where, you know, where the level 2 is spread wise. So a bunch of scalp trades there, which weren't any good. The 1 minute candle to make the new high was good, but we're back down. I keep forgetting, but I'm gonna check. I'm gonna check Webull for like a better P&L window. So red 500 to flat to red 400 here. Here's a retest of that low of 20s, which into our 5 minute candlestick, we're making a new low again. It's kind of looking like backside here. This pullback, I think, is okay. You know, it's definitely okay. We're coming off the bear flag. It's a nice move, but once we start to struggle after the new high, where again, you know, people are definitely short. We should, you know, I think we had a false halt up even. If we dip here for a leaf bounce, it's like, you know, we should be seeing some sort of incline. The breakout came off the red to green, a nice push from 722. And then we're kind of here sideways and down. So it could be finished here is what I'm thinking. Again, once we make the new high, like the amount of people that are definitely short, like you just know there's people after this type of candlestick at 1014. More than likely, some people are going to be short here, like in all of this, especially, hey, double top, it didn't go. More people going short here around like 10:29 market time. So once it does break out finally at 37, we should have had some sort of continued move here. Instead, it's like back down again. So it's kind of saying, hey, we're like not strong enough because we had everything to go and we're down here on the consolidation. So maybe too much profit taking into the high, maybe new short sellers adding to their position. But this stock definitely tells me that I have to keep working on like the mental, obviously, of course, you go through like a long sideways period. You know, you got to be very careful confidence wise in terms of like just not allowing the risk to get to you. When you're green all the time, like most times it's not a thought that really comes into your mind really, you know. So if you have that and you hesitate, that alone is the difference. If I go back to all those areas where I saw those entries and pulled the trigger, especially with size, the day is like an insane day, right? 5K maybe. I mean, the size is only 1500 in the grand scheme of what size really is, but obviously still kind of like hesitating even with that size, right? So definitely got a ways to go before I can come to a stock like this with 4K size and buy and feel nothing, which is what it used to feel like, months ago, right? I'd be able to buy and close my eyes and not even care in a sense. Versus now, like the risk, it's like I'm kind of thinking so much about the risk that you start then missing trades, which, has that like snowball effect. We did give ourselves a good pep talk in one of those resumptions to take the dip and rip again, to go for it, and then we didn't see that setup in that particular place. So again, right here, it looks like we're struggling. This definitely looking like we can pull back here and be done. So max loss in this account to flat to kind of max loss again here in the last couple of trades. I guess that's another thing too, like you really kind of have to like widen up the parameters a little bit because that's part of why I was hesitating, right? Knowing like, hey, okay, I'm gonna go for a little bit more with 1,500 shares. ARTV, it's like, okay, I'm gonna go for a little bit more with 1,500 shares, but you kind of know that with the risk of a resumption, you can be at max loss in one trade, So the right thing to do at that time was just to take smaller size. That way, for a fact, like it'll take multiple losses, even on a good size spread, to be at flat, or to be red in a max loss. Some of those small keys. So ARTV had curled back up here. This one was slower moving, not the quick moves. So gotta flip the switch to slower trades here. Taking the starter on the pullback and watching to see how low we go here. Come on down. The price is right. I'm going to add a little higher here. 15. There's 05. Only holding 500. Definitely would like to add some more. We're back up very quickly though. Didn't get a chance to add 05. $32 was the high. She's like on that dip to 05. I mean, it was a quick dip, but it's like I'm kind of there watching to see if we get some more selling pressure, but it's like right back up. Time 55. There's a new candle here. We'll see if it holds up to the previous range. Time almost 11. We might see more of a 5-minute pullback here. What is it gonna be? We're kind of like inching down new lows in the range. Another candlestick closing at the lows. Again, this one is like the night and day difference of the other one, right? Slower moving. The VWAP though is a ways away. So in terms of the pullback here, It's in a similar place to the other stock where we broke out over the high of day levels, but we're retracting here into previous highs, but below those previous highs, which were resistance. So if it like comes down some more, like we're like really struggling. Hopefully it holds up right here. Because again, people are definitely short, right? For those people who just added short, it's like, hey, we're right back down, nothing to worry about. No covering, nothing. We need to put the pressure on them so they can feel the squeeze. Mm-mm. I think below 90, this one is not looking good at all. It's retesting. Not looking good. Will it sell off here? Back over 5. Are we going to see the reclaim? And the volume turns into nothing here. is, are we going to see a reclaim? So slow. Ay, ay, ay. Well, we see 510, 515 on the reclaim here. Oh, not good. There's a spread. Ay, ay, ay. No fill right there on the odd. Would have been nice to get the ad there for the new high, but ten. Highs were 36. Does it have what it takes for a new high? Time. 1 minute into a new candlestick. I don't know. The breakout could be kind of tricky. There's 40. $44. Okay, all right. Can we see 50 though? There's actually way more volume here than I would have expected. There's 50 again. I didn't get back in. Still waiting. Time. That dip there was not convincing. I mean, it was very small, couple cents. No fill? Oh my goodness, come on. It goes from such high volume to such low volume, man. My last trade, not too much of a good one. I ended up taking 44 or so. I think we can see 60 again on this one. Didn't really follow through though with my plan of like getting in more aggressively, which again is a problem, right? We've had that issue today already. Ah, man, not good. The trade at 44 in itself too, if we're gonna take the 1 minute to make the new high, like we gotta be back out flat or small loss and then just, take the actual position. So that right there pulled back into the previous high and held up the level. If we're to put a trend line, you know, the first dip down was a little low, mid 20s, but once we recovered there, obviously that could be used as a reference point to get out, but gotta just jump in and take the trade, right? 20 cents to the wind, to the wind. That is just confidence right there. You just gotta jump in, just gotta take the trade. Like Steve, what I need to do is throw out a 10K position just to wake myself up. To wake myself up a little bit here, to feel some risk, to realize that the shares I'm taking now is nothing. Why am I being so hesitant for small size like this? 1,000 share position. 1,000 share position, 1,500 shares, which is like, should be nothing. Should be nothing in size. Like, that's like a warm up size on the bench. Being that it's a bit of a double top. Aye. I mean, it's worth watching again, but ideally we want this area here to go to 70. Again, this one is like the night and day difference of the other one, right? Which is like quicker moves. This one is slower. it's taking 5 minutes to give what the other stock would take 5 seconds. Gotta get more into following the intuition and just being confident, you know. You're gonna be stuck in like an insanity if you don't do it, because you can see everything clearly, but then you're not like following through with the discipline, you know, and the execution. So we'll see what it does this time. It is all in the mind, all in the mind. The red to green is quicker this time. Will we be able to see through 60? Well, it looks like if we don't retest the lows, it looks like a breakout trade is going to be in play here. We kind of already had a quick bounce back there. So over the next 5 minutes, at some point, will we see high volume for a breakout trade? It seems like the lows, the entry there at the lows is gone. So over the next 4 or 5 minutes, what will it be? And 60 is the high, so you know, just like 15 cents difference in where we are now. About 25 cents difference for the lows. If it does retest the lows, you know, will we hold up? Will we see some good buying? There's a new low. So again, you know, you can't muster up the confidence here on the third attempt. Must be in all 3 attempts for 2 winners, 1 loss, right? But with that breakdown of the low right there, you know, it could be finished. It could be finished. We're now pulling back into we're now pulling back into like, you know, even like lower levels here versus where the previous highs were. So I think it might be finished, this one. Obviously, that's relative for short term. You know, we can come back 10, 20, 30 minutes later and we can see like a red to green like this, right? Which is what happened the first time. Whenever these stocks don't sell off all the way in this type of move, you have to assume like, you know, there was some sort of buying from someone bigger. Some people, of course, are going to cover closer to the lows here. So that, along with, you know, people, whoever, or, you know, whether it's a firm or group of people or whatever, you kind of get a surprise red to green is what I'd call this one here versus the context of the sell off. We're still up significantly higher versus that previous level, which was around 10, let's say between 955 and like 1013, where the stock is much higher. So there's a chance it does a red to green at some point. But things are definitely looking a little slower. So, you know, it could be a good place here to shut it down. AMCI, the strongest stock of the day. We fumbled it. We saw everything we needed to see, technical wise, mental wise, in terms of the entries. Just didn't have the confidence to literally just jump in and take those trades. Um, you know, it's definitely a peculiar situation to be in, right? To know exactly where you should be in and then not be in, even with that smaller size, right? Which is why starter size is even is a thing, right? So you got to pull the trigger, even in an entry like this, right? Again, we let the first two trades go by. Let's pull up some arrows here. Side arrow. We let this entry go by, and then kind of a little hard to see. There we go. And we also let this entry go by right here to then take the third entry, which is fine, but we should have already took the first two entries, right? If we're looking at the pullback here in the last, I'll put it up top as well in the last area. These trades, I can see these trades perfectly fine. Just got to jump in. So taking it the third time, it's like it's always going to be a good thing, but we got to take it the first 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 times, right? So whenever the loss does come, you've already took the first 5 times to where it's like, you know, you're 5-1 versus 1-3 or 1-5, right? If that makes any sense. Hopefully that makes sense. Big Steve. We should be up 10K today. This there's no excuse to not have a nice day between ARTV and then especially the other one, AMCI. AMCI was really, really good. So definitely the type of stock that, you know, you want to lock in on. We had two areas which would have resulted into like a 70 cent and then $1 share plus trade. We just stood on the sidelines there, you know, not jumping in. The 550 entry after that resumption, I think the second resumption, it was obvious. It was obvious. You know, once we bottomed out, I think 45 or somewhere there, 30 even, we start to get back above the half dollar and it's holding. That right there with the stop at the lows, you know, the risk is like 20 cents. Let's just assume that low is 30, right? We can check. What's the we can pull up the 10-second chart and check. AMCI 10-second chart. Let's see. You know, that's what it comes down to in those moments, right? I think this was the I think that was this trade here. So we had a resumption and let's see. Lows of 482, 581. Yeah, okay, we had highs of 630. So we resumed, we had highs of like 630. And then we dipped down almost instantly out of the resumption, right? We dipped down. Let me go back to the 1 minute first, or 24 seconds. I want to get a better gauge of the resumption. 630. Yeah, so 630. Well, it's kind of showing hold on, 1 minute chart. It's showing the dots on both sides. See, this is where Thinkorswim, how Thinkorswim has those like dotted lines going across, like, it's a little easier to see the resumption. Anyhow, so the point is, if we come back to the 10-second chart, right here, hold up, at 550, this real time, you can see like it was there, right? We had a low of 27 was the low, 27 versus 50 on the red to green, and it's a 20-cent risk trade for a retest of the highs, which were at 630, right? 50 to 6 is, $5.50 to $6 is 50 cents plus 30 cents over the whole dollar for the highs, which is 80 cents versus a risk of 20 cents. There's way more than a 2-to-1 ratio there. Like, again, to not be in, is kind of silly, right? So why did I not go in, right? Overthinking the risk, like, hey man, like, okay, yeah, there's like 20 cents of risk there, but if I'm in there and this thing is like done, then we're seeing $5 or teleportation down into a halt down. Like, thinking of the worst case scenario, which would be like a more like even a 1-to-1 or worse, like, hey, this is like a 70-cent risk at the worst, versus like accepting what's just there and just going for it, It's like, once that entry is presented to us, you got to take the trade. And if you lose the 20 cents and some slippage, what's good about the trade is the risk to reward ratio and the chance that it had to go up to those levels on the days where it doesn't work, which makes the loss fine. But to not take the trade overall is just, a little too much when it comes to, the confidence that we need to have in those areas. So when I look at a day like this, it's like everything I needed was exactly perfectly how it needed to be. The confidence kind of lacking, which is a little interesting because last week, we didn't really like hesitate too much, right? Today we kind of came in. Well, I guess if we look back at Wednesday of last week, you know what, we did have a stock like this. Now that I'm remembering, we did have a stock that was halted up and I think went from 5 to 10, like something like that. That one, I think we had thrown out the order. We didn't get filled the 1200 share position, and it halted up again. We kind of missed like a nice sweet win there, and then from there we kind of like, hey, you know what, this thing might be a little too extended. After the second, third halt up, we kind of like just eased off on the sidelines. But this one though, we needed to throw out the order. That ended up going nicely up to 675 and then 698. The key here though, and even if you're taking profits early at 630 and didn't sell all the way up to 70, 80, 90, the key is being in and capturing that type of move, right? The second pullback came 640. We caught a good resumption trade. I think one of them we ended up catching nicely later on, but we did hesitate in too many of the key areas. So for anybody listening in who might be having issues with like the confidence to pull the trigger at times, there's nobody coming to save us at the end of the day. So the key is whether we see a stock like this tomorrow or the next day, it is to be firm with ourselves and force ourselves to take those trades, especially again, if the risk to reward ratio is in our favor. We got to say, hey, you know what? Even though there's some risk on the other side, you got to go for it. You got to go for it. No one is coming to save us, which is the reality, right? We can have study sessions with ourselves, with peers, But in those moments, we have to pull the trigger and take those entries. So on a day that could have been a nice, 1K, 2K day, 3K day, even with the size we're using now, is instead a red day here. What's 460 plus, how many shares did we trade? 30,000. We're always around this 30,000 mark with shares. So, what's this? 560. We're down like 650 plus here with no reason to be even red on a day. Worst case scenario, hey, you didn't make that 1K, 2K, but you're walking away 500 at least, It's like worst case scenario that a day like this should be for me. For those of you who've been here for years, like, you guys have seen me, like, go crazy on stocks like this. But obviously, with the slowdown and stuff, like, there's like some hesitation still, which we have to keep working on eliminating completely. It has to be to the point where when I rewatch those old archives, I'm not saying, "Oh my God, how in the world was I like being so wild and crazy and aggressive?" But instead, the mindset needs to be more like, "Yeah, that's something we can do anytime, any day," you know? Because that's kind of what's happening still when I rewatch some of those old videos. Yesterday, watching over some old film, and it's like, man, how am I just buying this $15 stock with 3K size and not even thinking a second of like what the loss could be? Because on a $15 stock, especially, within like a half second, you could be down a full dollar a share. But yet I'm there just not even thinking about it like that and just going for the setup, which is giving you the confidence to like take the trade and not worry too much about the risks. Because, if it, again, if what we just explained, if it happens, hey, you went for it, and again, even going back to the example of watching Save trade that day, right? If you want to be making thousands, which I want to be making thousands, you have to go for it, right? You have to go for it. You have to grow the hair on your chest and say, hey, you know what? My desire for success is greater than any fear of failing. That's what it comes down to at the end of it. So AMCI, it's holding up here at the highs again. It does look like it could try. Do I want to give it another go here? I can watch on with small size, and then if it does curl up, I can size up and try to go for it. Granted though, it is a little later in the day. AMCI. It is a little later in the day, but if the setup is there, as we know, it'll definitely be worth it. But got to be careful nevertheless, because time wise it's 11:35. We'll see if it does hold up this move. If not, we'll shut it down here for sure. But that's like the pep talk that I need at the open, like to just be ready to go. So here it comes. $8.38 is the high, so a breakout trade is definitely worth trying. And then if it goes through the level, I can size up here to see. But again, the risk is there. 26 to 15 very quickly. I'm only using a couple hundred shares, but if it goes over the level, willing to use about 1,600 shares if we can hold over 30. So just fishing with small size for a breakout. If once it holds, it'll be good confirmation. Trying it with size. And it looks like it might fail here. It's not bouncing immediately. So a bit of a letdown there in the setup. Once we rip to 50, we want to hold that 40, 30, high 30s, low 40s. It looks like it might reject all the way here. And yeah, it's definitely struggling. All right. Back over 35 could be interesting if we can see some volume, but it looks like it's having trouble. So a bit of a false breakout for high of day. The 5 minute candlestick that we're on is still holding up. So again, if it does get over like 30s, I try it again, but waiting. Trying. Oh, I hit the wrong hotkey there. Please, come on. Anyhow, there's a bit of a chop there. J. A bit of a chop there, 40 to 20. So it's struggling for sure. There's only a minute left in the 5 minute candlestick. And we got that topping wick. So says, the hotkey thing, man, I gotta my hotkeys are very simple and straightforward. But because of the placement on the keyboard, sometimes I have to look down and make sure I'm on the right key. This does make the breakout very difficult though, because every time we're coming up, we're dropping back, We're not really holding okay. Let's see how well it does. We should see over 9 if it's any good. Yeah, I can never get the fills I'm trying to get. I'm in 10 cents higher here. Let's take that scratch loss and then all right, okay. Not good. A couple losses there. What's that low? 50? We kind of missed that dip there. 830 was our previous high. The goal here is to see over $6 over $9. Oh, my screen is out of thing here. Not a good pullback here. I think my hotkeys on this other platform are just not suited either, bro. It's just it's a little simpler to take the trades, whether on Sage or Guardian, because the hotkeys on Webull, I don't have all the hotkeys. It's kind of throwing off some things, I think, as well. It could be finished here. I mean, we've said that so many times, right? But again, another tough pullback in a good area. We were a little extended on 5 minute though. Red to green bounce opportunities could be good. We could be good for some, 20, 30 cent bounces. Yeah, bro. Well, okay, that one was okay. That was all right. That was all right. Oh, level 2, I tell you. Sometimes when the volume starts to hit, you know, the way how the price action starts to react, it seems as if we're selling off, which is what kind of happened to me right there. It's a good dip. Did we make a new low? It looks like we might have made a new low, though. I don't know. It's hard to tell. We had 77, showing 68 though on the candlestick. Yeah, it looks like we had a new low. Okay, that's fine. So we priced in a new low and then immediately curled up over the whole dollar there. The 5 minute candlestick has like 3 minutes. So there's better hotkeys on any platform that's like utilizing DAS, right? But on the other ones, it's sometimes a little bit, you kind of have to use it in certain situations, like the other brokers, because you kind of need to be in. I mean, unless we're taking market orders here, right? Which kind of not really known for, but maybe it's a option to set up a hotkey for that specifically to just like mark it in. That's definitely an option. That way, you still have the versatility of the hotkeys. Because at the end of the day, now that I'm thinking about it, a market order is going to be a market order anywhere. You got to be ready for a crazy fill. So probably something to do is to set up a market order here in these platforms, so that we can still have the versatility of the hotkeys. So we got chopped out of the dip at 780 off that breakdown and reclaim. Right now we're watching on the sidelines. The 5-minute candlestick to make the new high. Five-minute candle to make the new high is gonna work. Did not expect that type of follow through, but only 700 shares there for me watching. 913. Watching the dip here carefully. Taking 55. My average is 61 here. I'm willing to add a little lower if I need to. Are we giving back the entire move here? You gotta be careful. My average is 47. And I might get stuffed out because we're not bouncing here. What looked like a really good dip too. I'm still holding it though, just in case we curl. Okay, cutting it there, 20. All right, that was a tough one. The pullback is the 5-minute setup turned out to be really good, but right back down. By the way, I forgot this was on 10-second. Bro, that was a nasty rejection. Good setup though, really good setup. But those are the trades we have to take right there. So we caught the move from 840 all the way to like 890. The dip here is not holding up. We had 2,000 shares with an average of 47, stopping out at 20 off the pullback. All right, that was a tough loss. So is it finished here? We've asked this question like 10 times already, right? We're rejecting in a kind of a good area again. It finished here for good, and we kind of took way more losses on the day here too. So I think it's a good place to call it and be back tomorrow with more confidence in those key areas. But we did accept the risk of going forward and trying to break out here. And that is quite the pullback. So we had eight. What was the breakout there? What? Wait, hold up. Where's this trade? That was 7. What was that? 7? No, 8:42 area. Time 45. Okay, we're like way off there in our time frame. Oh, wrong time. 49. 11:49. Yeah, 44 to 87, 87, 86, 83, 84 exit. We took 160 shares at 80 in case we're going to continue all the way over 9. But it's not a full position just in case we're going to see the pullback, which we're kind of hoping we get. So we started our real position at 56 with 600 shares, and then we added 40, another 600, and then we added mid to high 30s, another 38, 39, 38, 39, another 600 to go up to 2K size. So our average there 47 on this dip, and stopping out at 23 and 20 because that bounce was not. That was a good move too. But again, it is later in the day too, right? You got to watch out for those type of false breakouts. So short sellers now have a very aggressive and obvious wick to go against. So I can only assume that it might get more choppy here. I think I'm going to shut it down. Not a good day here. We had enough to had a nice day and kind of fumbled. We got to make sure that we're in this mindset though of being more confident early in the day, So that pep talk gave me what I needed there to hey, let's just go for it. Let's not overthink the risk. But we have to start the day in that type of mindset all the time to be able to execute at a good level. So for those of you in the chat, Limitless, Hollis, Triad, and others, eat. Likewise for the YouTube stream, the Mighty left out a while back, and we're gonna shut it down. A bit of a max loss for us here on the day. But yeah, gotta and then another quick reminder too, between the slower moving stocks and the quicker moving stocks, you gotta flip the switch. Hyper scalping on some stocks is still really good to be very quick and fast in those dip and rips and other quick opportunities, and then you got to be able to go back between back and forth between that, taking it easy and slower moves on some other stocks. This one's definitely for how I think of myself, kind of here rolling my eyes because the great Relentless, brother, the great Relentless cannot go out like this. As in these red days here the last 2 weeks where we should have been green. Nah. Tomorrow, bro. Tomorrow we coming in here and count. Let me write this down. Hold up. Let me get my. I gotta get some more stickies. I'm gonna end the stream here, but just quickly writing down some bullet points before I go. It's also why it's not good to start the day a little late. We wanted more of a pep talk at the open for like our opening statements, but we kind of had some like issues being under the weather here early. So bullet point number 1. Your desire for success. Your desire for success is greater than your risk or your fear, let's say your fear of failing. We have to remind ourselves this every day. And also, I'm going to use Save as like a reference point here, right? Think back in smaller bullet point. Think back about the day you watch Save trade and understand the risk that it's going to take, the risk that you have to put out for what it's going to take to, be at that level that you desire. Shout out to Save, by the way. Bro, I can't believe I'm having these type of issues, by the way. I mean, like, I'll say that out loud. Like, it just seems so trivial, like so like beginnerish, like. But yet again, it's like it's reality right now, right? Like, it's showing up in these days like this easily should be 5K, 10K, with your eyes closed. But gotta go through the process of, being better. Next bullet point. I'm gonna put down, in addition to what we saw there, take every single setup that you see that is an A quality setup. Take every A quality setup. Also, in addition, on a day like this, we do need to have more trades logged. We have to have way more trades logged. We're still between the two accounts that are like 100,000 shares. I have to double check the other account, but because we've had something that like moved so much so quickly, again, all that's going to be part of taking every setup, but we got to have more trades than the trades we took today. Your desire for success is greater than your fear of failing. Short sellers are definitely enjoying this one. But yeah, that's going to do it. Take care. Stay safe. Stay green. AMCI, seems like short sellers have this one in control. All right, guys. Have a good one. Catch you tomorrow. Tomorrow I will be better. All right. Also get a good chance to rewatch some film here. All right, take care.